This live on the Facebook, and we are ready to go. So I want to share I just took 3 days off, like a 3-day complete sabbatical. I know that a 3-day sabbatical actually doesn't make a lot of sense. It's really only 3 days off. And now that I'm speaking, I'm kind of like lost my voice a bit. Anyways, I want to share 3 weird discoveries that that came about from taking 3 days off. And I'm talking like I didn't even open my computer, didn't touch my phone. It was pretty much off for 3 days. It was a complete digital detox, nothing, okay? So I want to share 3 important discoveries or 3 weird discoveries that that I uncovered, and I think they'll be valuable for you. And the first one, if we can jump into this, my nose is a bit itchy. And I apologize if I'm rambling a little bit here. I'm just trying to get back into the thick of things, which leads me to my first point, which is this. Is inertia is a very powerful force. Inertia basically, as you know, hopefully, means a body will stay in motion unless it's acted upon otherwise from an external force, right? And so what I recognize from taking 3 days off is the less you do, the less you want to do. You know, you've heard the typical saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. It's very true, because I would typically call myself a very productive person, but the last 3 days, I did nothing. Like, I didn't work out. I had zero desire to do anything other than lay on the couch or lay on a chair outside, you know, in the sun. And it was really weird. I typically don't like that feeling because 2 of my big core values are growth and contribution. This is one of the reasons why I don't like laying on the beach for 7 days in a row. I can't do those type of vacations because they drive me crazy. I actually feel worse about myself than before the vacation. So inertia is powerful. It's like, you know, because I wasn't doing anything, I didn't want to do anything. I mean, I went for, you know, 5 to 8K walks every day. Took the kids for a run, which was actually fun on Tuesday. But for the most part, I wanted, like, there was zero desire to do anything. So that was the first thing. And I'll come back to that in a second. So the second thing, the good part of taking this 3 days completely off was it's a good reset. And I say reset because I don't know about you, but I have very habitual ways of doing things. Like when I get up in the morning, I go right into my stuff, right? And I didn't do that for 3 days. So what did I do? I woke up, I went out onto my deck, I took out a book, and I started reading. So that was a complete pattern interrupt based on what I'm normally conditioned to do. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just it's very interesting to note and just observe how we do things, right? So I read a book called The Goal, 380 pages. I just crushed that in 2 days. Like, that's pretty much all I did. Was I read that book, and then I read another book on direct mail from Dan Kennedy. So I read 2 books in 2.5 days, which was pretty amazing. And I'll tell you that, like, I'm a big believer that the best leaders, the best managers are those who seemingly have nothing to do. Because if you're the leader of your business and you're doing everything, that's a problem, right? A manager or a leader is someone who's able to orchestrate or conduct the orchestra so that the violin player, the piano player, the trombone player, those people are doing most of the work. You're creating the vision, the strategy, and the path. And as much as I am aware of that, I still find myself doing enough stuff, like stuff that I shouldn't do. So it was a really good opportunity for me to kind of just step out of the forest and actually see the forest for the trees, right? Or the trees for the forest, however the saying goes. And it just, like, you know, really stepping back to say, like, okay, cool. If I'm not doing this stuff, is it going to fall by the wayside, or do we have someone else who's responsible for taking care of this? And so I think it's really important to take these little hiatuses, whatever the plural would be, as a way to just it's almost like in Avengers, right? Like, and I can't even remember the name of the characters who did this, but, you know, the the Doctor Strange people, like they pushed the Hulk out of his body, right? Dr. Banner out of the Hulk's body, like they pushed the soul or the spirit out. That's kind of what it's like. It's like you have this other version of you that's observing you, and it's very tough to do that when you're always doing stuff in the business. So taking a couple days to just completely remove myself from my doing this and just observe, okay, so I'm spending a lot of time doing this. If I'm not doing this now, how am I feeling? How is this contributing? And I think it's very important to do that. And I actually got away from doing this a little bit. I actually had a practice. I don't even know when I stopped this. It was called Thinking Thursdays. I would take Thursdays completely off and I would just read and think and strategize. And that's all I did with a notebook. And I think that's kind of what the last 3 days were like, although it wasn't as focused on like strategic thinking, but it was nice to have that space to do nothing. So there's a lot of value. There's a lot of value in learning. Like there's some people that say, I don't have time to go through a course or read a book. I'm going to delegate that to someone else. They can bring me the findings. And I agree to some extent with that. But I'll tell you, reading 2 books in 2.5 days, I got some really, there's 3 major breakthroughs for our business. Big ones. Like I'm not talking about small things. I'm talking about massive things. That's worth taking time to do nothing to discover those, right? So if I'm on my deck and if I'm reading for hours on end and I come up over the course of a couple days with 3 major breakthroughs that are going to help our business, that's a worthwhile endeavor, right? And I'm not saying, we're taking time off just to think about, business and stuff, because ideally, if you take time off, you take time off. Right? So I have, for me, it's I'm either all in or I'm all off. And typically I'm never all off because, as you may know, I work 7 days a week. Every single morning, Saturday and Sunday, I wake up, 4 or 5 o'clock, and I'm working till about 10:30. And it's not that I have to; it's that I enjoy doing it. And maybe that's an excuse for me saying, hey, I'm a bit of a workaholic and I'm addicted to being busy, which I think that's something I've also recognized, is the addiction of doing stuff is real. And I probably have that addiction. I don't know, in a good way, perhaps. So anyways, the second discovery, as I just mentioned, is it's good to reset out of conditioned ways of behaving. And I think it's important to do that every now and then. But I also understand that if you're not careful with that, it can also disrupt your flow. If you have a very consistent flow of waking up early, doing your routine, whatever, you want to find that balance of being able to kind of inject a little bit of contrast to say, okay, let's step out of this for a second and let's just kind of break that mold, but not doing it long enough where you completely lose that type of consistent practice. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Third weird discovery, it's not even a weird discovery to be honest, is that when you take time away from your business, it is a very good stress test on your business. So a couple years ago, I think it was four years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, in my previous business, my health business, I took a 2.5 month sabbatical during the summertime. I did nothing. Like it was just before we started Healthpreneur. I took 2.5 months off from the other business. I didn't do anything. I didn't care about anything, no checking email, nothing. My brother was running the whole thing. And it was a really good opportunity to stress test the business. And it ended up working really well, where it was better for our team, better for a lot of outcomes based on the fact that I wasn't there, right? And I think it wasn't the fact that I took the time off. It was just, I think, the way that it was structured in that previous business, which wasn't ideal, that actually made me not being there probably better. Anyways, so the cool thing about the stress test is when I took 3 days off, so this morning I come back in, and normally I don't check email first thing in the morning, but I knew that there was 3 really important things that I stepped away from. I'm like, shit, I'm the bottleneck here because those 3 projects require my input to move them forward. So I'm like, sorry guys, I forgot to let you know. Anyways, so check my email this morning, and I get this notification from our ads team that our Facebook ad account got shut down a day and a half ago. So, okay, so that happens. Thankfully, I'm not the point person for that going on. So we have another team member who is kind of the intermediary for that. So she was involved in that process. And it's not like a bunch of emails were sent to me and they're like, hey man, like, are you alive? What's going on? So that process was handled, and I don't think it's up and running yet, but I think, it's on the path to getting up and up to speed. But here's the thing is, like, if you step away from your business and fires happen, things happen, can the business survive if you're not present? And I think if the answer to that question is no, that's okay. But you have to ask yourself, what do I have to do in order for me, or in order for this, if this were ever to happen again, or something similar to this were to happen again, what do I have to do? What has to be in place? What people have to be there? What processes have to be in place so that if this were to happen or something similar, it wouldn't be an issue if I were there or not, right? Because if everything relies on you, then you're the biggest bottleneck in your business. And if you're the biggest bottleneck in your business, then you don't have a business, okay? You need to be able to create systems and structure and people around you where you can remove yourself, even if it's for a weekend. Like, it doesn't have to be a 2-month sabbatical or 3 days off. And this is the challenge with most health practices, is that you're the practitioner, let's say, you're working with patients, but when you're not working, you're not making money and they're not getting helped. That is a flawed model. It's an archaic model, and it's something I'm on a mission to create better solutions for, because it's ridiculous and it's stupid. And it's not, again, it's not your fault. It's the mold in which we've all been taught to work within, right? Work one-on-one. Patient comes in, you treat them. Next time they come in, you treat them again. And it's trading time for money, time for money. Oh, you don't work? Guess what? You don't get paid. It's a ridiculous model, and it's not a business, okay? And that's one of the things that I'm really passionate about doing with Healthpreneur, is helping practice owners build smarter businesses, because there are way better ways of helping people compared to doing that stuff. Now, I'm not saying that the one-on-one doesn't have its place. If you're a massage therapist, if you're an acupuncturist, yeah, totally. Like, there's obviously a time where you have to do that stuff. But you have to look at your business as a business, right? You have to see it as a machine. If you've read the book Principles by Ray Dalio, if you haven't, you have to read the book. It's amazing. It sits on my bedside table. He talks, and Ray Dalio is one of the wealthiest people on the planet, one of the smartest thinkers. And he says, like, listen, like, you look at your business as a machine, and everything within it are just the moving parts and different pieces of the machine. So you're always looking at the business like a machine. How do we improve it, instead of you just doing work all the time, right? So I think when you take time away, it's a good stress test on the business, because if the business falls apart, or if it's not able to continue doing what it's doing, or it doesn't grow, that's a problem, right? So I hope this is making sense. And if it is, just give me a thumbs up, or like totally agree. And if you've ever taken a sabbatical or some time off from your stuff, from your business, I'd love to know how that went for you. Just let me know in the comments. And I'm trying to think, there's one more thing I wanted to share. Oh yeah, kind of a bonus discovery, if you will, is so something that we teach our Luminaries clients. We call this a serene sprint. So we work in 90-day sprints, but we also know that 90 days is a very long time. And if you're like go, go, go for 3 months, you'll feel pretty tired. So halfway through that 90-day sprint, so at about 6 weeks, we take, or I recommend taking this 3 to 4 day timeout. It could be 2, could be a day, 3 days, whatever you want. And this is what I just did. It's kind of more of a timeout than time off. The cool thing that happens here is when you go on vacation, like when you prepare to go on vacation, what happens? Like you just get stuff done. Like, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to be away for a week or 2 weeks or a month. You get a bunch of stuff done. You let everyone know, you get things prepared. And when you're off, you just get everything done before that happens, so that things run relatively smoothly in your absence. Just that alone is worth taking a couple days off for, because it's Parkinson's law, right? Work fills the time allotted to get it complete. So if you give yourself an infinite amount of time, you're going to take an infinite amount of time to get it done. But if you're taking a couple days off, and I took a couple days off in the middle of the week. I'm not talking about the weekend. And I did that very purposefully. I said, hey guys, from Tuesday to Thursday, I don't exist. And so what has to happen? What do I have to, who do I have to notify? What has to be prepared by Monday evening so that those 3 days, it's all good. And that's a very, very good practice because it forces you to get stuff done. It forces you not to procrastinate. And it's something I think is a very, very worthwhile practice that's done on a consistent basis. So in our world, the way we teach our clients, especially at the higher level, is we work in these 90-day sprints. And each 90-day sprint has a 2 to 4 day timeout. And then at the end, or just about at the end of the 12 weeks, we have a 1 week off. We call it chill time. It doesn't have to be a week. Again, it could be 3-4 days, depends on your business, depends on your setup. But the key thing here is that throughout the year, we want to help you, the client, add 4 to 6 weeks of time off into your calendar. That's our goal, because like if you want to work less, like I don't necessarily want to work less. I love what I do. It just needs to be, I would rather be playing tennis instead of just sitting at home, as an example, if I'm taking time off. But if you want to work less, if you want to have more time with your family, if you want to do more things outside of just your business, you have to structure it in that way. And when you bake in and when you schedule in these blocks of time throughout the year, where you say, I'm not working from June whatever to June whatever, or November whatever to whatever, you have those in the calendar and there are set meetings with you and doing nothing or doing a vacation or something else. It forces you to get stuff done a lot more effectively. So I think there's a lot of value to looking into how do I take strategic time off. And I think part of the challenge here is, and this is a mental construct more than anything else, is we believe, and when I say we, I mean me, right? We believe that if we're not working, we're not producing. If we're not working, we're falling further behind. Other people are getting ahead of us, or the business isn't growing as it could be. But the thing I've realized, and I think I have to give credit to Dan Sullivan, one of my mentors, for sharing this with me and really waking me up to this idea several years ago, was the less you work, the more you make. And I think that's something I'm still really working through, because I love what I do, but is the fact that I work 7 days a week, is that a cover-up, right? Or is that something like I actually feel like I want to do? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there. Anyways, so those are the 3 weird discoveries. Inertia is very powerful. The less you do, the less you want to do. Number 2, it's good to reset, get out of your kind of status quo type of routine every now and then, shake things up. It's like driving in taking a new way to work, a new way to, instead of always doing the same path, right? Like instead of grooving the same pathway in your brain, just change it up a little bit. And taking a bit of time off from your business is a really good stress test. And then as a result of that, you get to look at, okay, what broke? What do we need to fix next time? That I take a couple days off. And it's a really, really, really good process for making your business more effective. And that's in addition to the stuff that I just mentioned. Like you have more time to think, more time to read, more time to really come up with breakthroughs. And then obviously you have the opportunity to just get stuff done much more productively because you're taking a couple days off. Make sense? Anyways, so that is what I wanted to share with you this morning. I hope that is helpful for you. It's Friday. It kind of feels like a Monday right now. But anyways, I got some stuff to do. And I'm happy that I was able to get right back into the groove. And there wasn't this like buildup of inertia trying to get it going again. I pretty much just got right back into it this morning, which I'm really happy about, because in the past that it's been a little bit more of a lag. So anyways, I'm back. Wanted to give you that update. Hope it serves you. And if you've ever taken a sabbatical or a couple of days off or a little vacation, I'd love to hear how that's impacted your business. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to share, and I'll speak to you soon. Ciao.